It makes me laugh every time. Welcome back. We just got done filming a great interview that we had, a great little discussion with one known friend of the channel, and now we have another associate of the channel, Skylar. That was a good conversation we had. A little bit of discourse, a little bit of assenting voices, a little bit of disagreements, a lot of agreements, a lot of different perspectives on things. But overall, it was a very good conversation, so that was fun. But here we are, current events episode. You will see that episode next week. You will see this episode this week. That's how it works, because if you're watching the episode right now, I'm already done editing it. So anyways, it's been 2 weeks since we filmed our last current event episode. And there was a real big, I don't know where my brain was going with that. I was trying to make something funny out of it, and it just really flopped. There's been a lot of news that's happened with it. With the administration, that is. First and foremost, do you want to do the FBI stuff, or do we want to?
Yeah, I'll start off the Epstein stuff.
Okay. So the past week, it's been about a week and a half, right? That the whole Pam Bondi, who is the Attorney General of the United States, reached out to the FBI, and if I recall, the Attorney General is not in charge of, but has official power over the FBI to release documentation like that, right?
So from my understanding, Attorney General, so she can investigate things and request legal documents, like the Epstein documents.
Right.
Yeah, she can legally order that from them.
Right. Okay. So she has the power to...
And to declassify documents, which is the big thing about it.
Right. So we talked about the not coalition. What's the word for it? The organization that Trump created for...
the Presidential Committee for...
Committee, yes. The committee for
attempted assassinations.
Right. And Pam Bondi's heading that up, along with other lawyers that she, I guess, was assigned. I don't know if she picked them herself or whatnot. But anyways, so they're supposed to be doing and I think we talked about this, but just to reiterate, they're supposed to be doing work with the JFK assassination, the MLK assassination, the Bobby Kennedy assassination, 9/11, and the Epstein stuff, which are all major things that a lot of people have been wondering about. A big thing that I am curious about too is the Trump attempted assassination, and why the kid had 5 phones, and why his house was completely scrubbed clean. And why one of his phones was pinged right next to an FBI office in DC.
Why they didn't secure the closest vantage point to the president's head.
The roof is too roofing. There's too much roofing happening. Can't have snipers up there. You just got to have them on the taller building. But anyway, back on topic. So they are supposed to be releasing, and I guess they would have classified the Epstein. I don't know why they would have classified it, though. I don't understand why that is a national security.
Well, I think all investigations are classified until they're ready to release to the public, because they have to go through and redact personal information.
But I mean, this has also been,
I know,
4 or 5 years.
That's the whole point. That's the whole point of his committee. They said the American people deserved this years ago.
Right.
This is a basic, this is
long time in the making.
Yeah.
It's a long time in the making, for sure.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead. We want to start with the letter?
Yeah, I'll lead up to the letter real quick. So originally, this was last Thursday was when the Epstein documents were supposed to come out. Pam Bondi ordered them from the Southern New York City FBI office, and she got a shipment of documents, but after going through them, they realized that it's not really anything new, and it's not even close to the amount that they should have received. So Thursday evening, Pam Bondi sends out this letter to Kash Patel. So we can just read the right straight from the letter.
Sure. Let's get it. Uno momento. All right. So, dear Director Patel, it's really funny too, just to kind of throw my little insight here. How, well, not insight, but opinion. Whatever. This is like one of the first things that Cash was hit with because he was recently given the role. Like, I mean,
Oh
he
yeah,
was
keep in
recently
mind
confirmed.
this is 2 days after the first cabinet meeting. They just got in.
Right, right. That's what I'm saying. So they're already hitting the ground running. Again, I mean, it was reported. Oh, State of the Union address.
We'll
Not
definitely
the
hit on that.
not the State of the Union, but the whatever it's technically called when it's not the State of the Union. The first one that the president does. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute. But it's already said that Trump and his cabinet have been doing more than any other president has ever done in the first 100 days of office. They've already done more in 45 days than any president has done in the first 100 days of office. So, which is just crazy. But anyways, let's get to this. So this is from the
Attorney General.
Attorney General Pam Bondi. So to the director of the FBI, Kash Patel. So, dear Director Patel, before you came into office, I requested the full and complete files related to Jeffrey Epstein. In response to this request, I received approximately 200 pages of documents, which consist primarily of flight logs, Epstein's list of contacts, and the list of the victims' names and phone numbers. I repeatedly questioned whether this was the full set of documents responsive to my request, and was repeatedly assured by the FBI that we had received the full set of documents. Late yesterday, I learned from a source that the FBI field office in New York was in possession of thousands of pages of documents related to the investigation and indictment of Epstein. Despite my repeated requests, the FBI never disclosed the existence of these files. When you and I spoke yesterday, you were just as surprised as I was to learn this new information. By 8 a.m. tomorrow, February 28th, so a week ago, basically, the FBI will deliver the full and complete Epstein files to my office, including all records, documents, audio, video recordings, and materials related to Jeffrey Epstein and his clients, regardless of how such information was obtained. There will be no withholdings or limitations to my or your access. The Department of Justice will ensure that any public disclosure of the files will be done in a manner to protect the privacy of the victims and in accordance with the law, as I have done my entire career as a prosecutor. I am also directing you to conduct an immediate investigation into why my order to the FBI was not followed. You will deliver to me a comprehensive report of your findings and proposed personal action within 14 days. So there's 6 more days of this to go. I appreciate your immediate attention to this important matter. I know we are both committed to transparency for the American people, and I look forward to continue working with you to serve the president and our country. So, I mean, that was a pretty cut dry, straight to the point, no frills added letter. I mean, she's literally like, "Look, you guys got something going on in there. Get me the damn letters. I want them on my desk, and then conduct an internal
I
investigation,
love
and
the
then
quick
also give
action.
me the result." Yeah,
I love the quick action. It seems like not just the past 4 years, but the past like 20 years in politics, it's been a lot of lack of accountability. I like this immediate action that our attorney general is taking with the lack of producing all the documents they requested, because this is something that all the people want. I don't think this is a party issue.
no, no. I mean,
No
she
way.
just jumped down their throat. I mean, she straight up just like jumped down his throat and was like,
Yeah.
"Look, like I basically gave you a demand. You are required to meet said demand. You have not met my demand, so now you have to fix it."
Yeah. And since that letter was sent out that following week, Pam Bondi has received what they called a truckload of documents. It's everything they asked for. They're optimistic that it's everything they asked for, and they're currently going through and everything that all the documents they just received. They are saying that they think it's everything that they were withholding originally, and they're just right now going through everything and redacting like personal information, stuff that shouldn't go out. And
Right.
hope to see it soon.
Right. Yeah.
Declassified.
I mean, I don't know a single person I've ever met that isn't curious about the ongoings and who is on Epstein Island, because you have left and right that are pointing fingers at their idols and their
This will be a
figureheads.
victory for everyone.
This will be a victory for non-pedophiles. There's a lot of names dropped recently on a certain famous podcast, and I am interested to see how much validity is in all of that. I'm sure there's a lot. I'm sure there is a lot of validity to what was said. But that being said, it looks like Kash Patel responds to the letter. We got an article here from the Daily Wire, which, little side note, recently, I believe it was 2 or 3 days ago, just got their seat in the, they got a correspondent in the White House.
Press pass? White House press pass?
Yeah. Well, like an official correspondent to the press, like where the press secretary and all that, which is crazy for a company that has been around for 10 years. Whether I don't care what you think about the Daily Wire, it's just crazy to hear that like they're now beside APR and or the Associated Press and fucking CNN and Fox News, like titans of the industry. And now you
just got to get Alex Jones in there.
You got no. What you're saying is like I hear what you're saying, but what I'm asking you is why were they drinking the blood? I understand that you're saying that this has nothing to do with what is happening in France, but my question to you is why are your scales showing?
Literal demons.
These people are freaking demons. Oh, we love AJ. Okay, so we respond to the letter, yada yada yada. We'll just read what he says. So the FBI is entering a new era, one that will be defined by integrity, accountability, and the unwavering pursuit of justice. There will be no cover-ups, no missing documents, no stone left unturned, and for anyone from the prior or current bureau who undermines it, will be show more. I didn't realize there was more to this. Let's see, where was I? No stone unturned, and anyone from the prior or current bureau who undermines this will be swiftly pursued. If there are gaps, we will find them. If records have been hidden, we will uncover them. And we will bring everything we find to the Department of Justice to be fully assessed and transparently disseminated to the American people as it should be. The oath we take is to the Constitution, and under my leadership, that promise will be upheld without compromise. Well said. I think that was well said. I think that gets the point across that it seems like there is a lot of transparent. Well, hopefully there is stated transparency.
Yeah, so you said 6 days left. We'll see if that comes into fruition.
There is stated transparency. Let's hope that there is actual transparency. But it does seem like the figureheads of the different departments are actually willing to work with each other and also are holding each other accountable. So we'll see if that actually, like you said, comes to fruition.
I love the fact that it wasn't just a personal conversation they had. Like their Pam Bondi wrote an official statement, showed it to the public. That's what we want.
It's public.
Perfect.
Yep. We want receipts.
Transparency.
Yep. We want to see what everyone is doing. That's why, like, I think it was a year and a half ago when RFK Jr. first started talking about blockchain. That's why we said that, we need as much transparency as we can get. And I 100% agree with that.
We should demand no less.
To see. Yeah. We should demand no less. You're right. So obviously we'll let you guys know immediately what comes of that, because this has been something that we've both been following since it started. So we'll see how deep the cancer really is in the elites. Yeah. But anyway, 2 weeks ago now, there was a fun little visit that happened where Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. It's not Vladimir. Can't make it easy. It's got to be Volodymyr.
All I'm seeing is him running out of the White House. CNN. Oh, this is unbelievable. Zelensky's been kicked out of the White House.
So he showed up, and didn't you say that he is the one that requested it to be televised?
Yeah, so the word was that Zelensky asked Trump if they could televise or do something in front of the press before they have their official meeting.
Right.
Yeah. And Trump's like, okay, we'll do it.
So obviously, hearts and minds and hearts. You know, that's how you win propaganda wars, and war is 90% propaganda.
He's wearing the costume; it had to be seen.
So, you know, yeah, he's a frontline leader. As a no, I'm kidding. He so he shows up, and they were initially there to talk about the new minerals deal that was being worked on. So the United States would have a stake in Ukraine even more so than it does now. And it would be kind of a deal that was worked out to start paying America back for the investment that we've done in Ukraine.
And not only that, it's like a workaround to the whole NATO problem because we would give them security guarantees along with that outside of NATO. So they would get the security they wanted, and it wouldn't anger Putin because NATO would still stay out.
Right. So it's basically the United States standing in front of Ukraine instead of NATO itself, but we don't want issues with Russia. So it's kind of a win-win, supposedly. One could take that as like, well, what the fuck are we doing getting that involved with Eastern Europe? But we have been that involved with Eastern Europe.
Well, it's more like there's a mineral deal, so there has to be U.S. contractors over there to receive the minerals.
Right.
So we're just protecting them, which is hand in hand with it's basically a security guarantee. It's like a loophole.
It's a win-win, kind of.
Yeah.
So that was the whole reason he came over, and they wanted to do a little bit of press before the talks started, and they had like a whole lunch planned, the press, whatever the hell, and yeah, man, it really got derailed. I think it was when JD Vance said something about diplomacy, and he was like, "What diplomacy? They break everything." And it really just got derailed then. And they started going at it, and Zelensky started making like demands of the United States, saying that, you know, you don't understand how much this is going to affect you, and that what was it that he said in the sense of
we haven't done enough?
Yeah, basically saying we haven't done enough, that like Putin's been doing whatever the hell he's wanted to since 2014,
and our future will be bad if we don't help out more
by it.
It's like, oh, you don't speak for America.
So that's a good segue, because that's literally where this video shows up. So I'm gonna play a little. It's a minute 29, and it's a little segment of that conversation, and it gets pretty wild. So let's see it.
Because you're in no position to dictate that.
That's exactly what
You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very good.
Feel influence.
We're going to feel very good and very strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards. Right now, you don't. You're playing cards. You're playing cards. You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country. That's back to you far more than a lot of people said they should have.
Have you said thank you once? This entire meeting? No, in this entire meeting, have you said thank you? You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of America and the president who's trying to save your country.
Please, you think that if you will speak very loudly about the war, you can...
He's not speaking loudly. He's not speaking loudly. Your country's in big trouble.
Can I
Wait a minute. No. You've done a lot of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not winning. You're not winning this. You have a damn good chance of coming out okay because of
just
us.
had to catch that.
Okay.
I didn't even realize that before. He just caught himself. He almost was like, I know to that.
So I think what we're seeing there is Zelensky has, for the past 4 years, come to the United States. He has a demand. There's not really that much back and forth. And usually within a month or two, getting exactly what he asked for. And same thing from Europe. I mean, they were very happily escalating the conflict in Ukraine. The European Union, NATO, and the United States
they
for the
had,
past 4 years.
Yeah, they had
So I
no
think what you're
issue
seeing
with
is
throwing more and more funds into it. Which,
yeah,
that being said, the United States was paying way more than any other European nation was paying for it, for the record.
So I think Zelensky, yeah, he probably obviously does respect the United States and America, but he's not used to someone like Trump
Being
telling him
stonewalled.
how it is.
He's not used to being stonewalled.
He really doesn't have cards. If you think about it, everything has come from
We
us.
We talk a lot about enabling in our day-to-day lives. We have literally enabled Ukraine to continue.
Exactly.
And I'm not saying that to diminish the people of Ukraine by any means.
Right.
By any means. They're extremely brave, courageous people. And they have fought with honor. They have their honor intact. They have done an insanely... most people thought it would be a steamroll. And not only have they held their ground as much as they have been, but they counterattack. And, it's all the power to them. They're doing great. In the sense of, as much as they can.
Yeah.
That being said, thousands of people are dying a day. And it's the Russians just have more men. They just have more men, more weapons.
And the reason that I'm aligned with Trump on this is because I like to look ahead. What's the end game? Ukraine doesn't win without
NATO.
World War III, without boots on the ground.
Without NATO
involvement.
Without NATO involvement. And the issue isn't the munitions that we're supplying them. We could supply them with, we could empty out our stockpiles and give it to Ukraine if we wanted to. And they still wouldn't win.
Yeah.
And it's not because they wouldn't have the might of the United States military. It's manpower. They are losing so many people. And if you look at history, which is something that I always fucking tell people to do, if you read history, what has Russia always had? What always wins Russia the war?
Game.
Every single war Russia has fought, they are pushed to a back foot slightly. Initially, there's a little bit of a step back. And then once that war machine kicks in and goes into total war, it's crushing. And it's not through means of arms. It's through weight of numbers.
Right.
It's not something that's sustainable. It's just not.
I think Zelensky needed that. They had this.
And not only that, but just one second. I'm sorry. I'm not to butt in and cut you off, but not only that, what does the country look like if you were to win after a prolonged conflict? What country do you have left? Don't you want to preserve what's left right now? What are you going to have? No man's land?
What's a couple territorial concession compared to a long drawn out war that you would ultimately win?
What are they going to do? Level every city?
Exactly, yeah.
You're going to have a fucking wasteland. And it's I'm king of the wasteland. It's you don't even have a country. If everyone's dead, you have no country left. What?
And the number of dead's already there. It's already surpassed. It's
well over 1 million.
The global war on terror years ago, right?
Well, I wanted to make the point that I believe, let me bring this up really quick. And Andrew and I were talking about this the other day. Operation Enduring Freedom lost 2,350 U.S. military deaths. in Operation Enduring Freedom. So 2,350 people died. And then let's look at how many people are dying in Ukraine. So if we do the math, that's 1,000. That's over 1,000 people a day.
Wow,
that's well over 1,000 people a day. Are that's insane.
That's 1,000 people a day, and Zelensky's got like this. It seems like because of the past 4 years of him getting all of his demands met, he has like a false, they have like this false sense of security, maybe of NATO, U.S. involvement in this. But if we keep going, it's gonna cross a line that we shouldn't cross. We shouldn't we shouldn't step into World War III over this when there's a diplomatic mean to an end.
Right. The point I wanted to make with doing the math on that really quick and finding the articles, I do apologize for taking the time for that, but so in 25 years, basically, 2,300 people died. That happens in 2 days in the Ukrainian conflict.
It's nuts.
The scale is immeasurable, and I don't think that the West truly understands what that means.
That's another thing we were talking about. So if you want to even try to comprehend the losses in the Ukraine war, you need to look at that. So 25 years, a few thousand. Ukraine's hitting that in a day. And they're gambling with the next world war.
Right.
Which is incomprehensible, a modern world war, peer-to-peer war. Because it hasn't happened in so long.
This is just two countries going at it. This is literally just two countries going at it. Like, in World War II, there was 50 to 85 million deaths. And that was between civilians, soldiers, whatever.
More than every other war after combined.
This is a million of just two countries that are going at it. Like, I can't imagine what, like, global total war would look like.
It's incomprehensible.
I can't imagine. Like, the statistics are talking about millions of people dying in the first month.
Yeah.
And, like, global peer-to-peer conflicts. Like, it's nuts, dude. It's nuts. And there's people sitting there saying that, like, oh, we should just keep sending more and more money into the meat grinder, and it's nuts.
You're just stepping closer and closer to that line of
toeing the
total
line.
war.
It really is.
I have to bring it back to the beginning of the war because it's like when does the diplomatic end become reasonable?
Right.
I would argue it was reasonable from before it even started.
Right.
We broke down before the NATO involvement and all the lack of diplomacy on our side. And, that was our Secretary of Defense's position. Putin, before he invaded Ukraine, said, I will basically do anything to prevent Ukraine from joining NATO and having NATO weapons on our border.
Right.
The next day, Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin, his official statement was, it is the right of any country to join NATO. Ukraine will be joining NATO. It is inevitable.
Right.
And I saw that before the invasion. I was like, well, there it is. We not only is this war going to happen, we want it to happen.
Conflict is inevitable. He literally just said
they threw aside diplomacy and said, bring it on.
Right. Right, and that's why the peace talks weren't even an option for 3 years.
Yeah, Putin wasn't invited to the peace talks. Now they're complaining Zelensky's not invited to the peace talks. Yeah, I think both sides should absolutely be at the peace talks. But
well, now they're complaining that Trump's even talking to Putin because now they're saying that he's a puppet.
That's nuts. That's nuts. Throughout.
So
that's the only way
trying to bring about peace. Fuck.
You want to bring up history? How did JFK end the Cold War crisis? He talked to the Soviet Union secretly.
Yeah,
because the military-industrial complex, which I think is a big factor in this.
Yeah,
we talked about how we're just giving them our stuff that we don't use anymore, so we can justify buying more and keeping our military-industrial complex going.
Yep.
Just like that, they wanted JFK to force his hand to be forced to go to war with Cuba and Russia, but no, he knew that we needed to diplomatically find an end and aim for peace. So he talked to the opposition. So absolutely, we need to talk to the opposition. Everyone should be at the table. We shouldn't be cutting people off. We need to take an anti-war stance and a stay away from foreign conflict stance, just like our founding fathers envisioned.
Right. I agree with that. 1,000%. We got an article that it looks like something that might help the United States in that endeavor of trying to kind of be more isolationist. Is that, so this is from the Associated Press, that Poland and the Baltic nations welcome Macron, who's the president of France, nuclear deterrent proposal. So it looks like there was a proposal put forward by the president, talks about France basically taking the burden of what the United States has been doing for umpteenth number of years and making it their priority. Russia says, let's see, Zelensky joined European Union leaders in Brussels as an emergency summit on defense and security. They had a strategic debate on using France's nuclear deterrent to protect European allies amid concerns over potential U.S. disengagement. French president described Moscow, being Russia, as a whole, as a threat to France and Europe. In Brussels, several Eastern European nations welcomed the move. Poland Prime Minister Donald Tusk, whose country holds the EU's rotating presidency, said we must seriously consider the proposal. So this is all just fluff. Obviously, this changes the scope of what the United States involvement could look like in the future, especially with Trump's take of being more of an isolationist and more of a, peace above all, which it should be. I don't see how this would be anything but a good thing, at least for the United States. Globally speaking, it's kind of scary to think about because it's like, on one hand, the United States wants to be more hands-off, right? But then on the other hand, you see these European nations, they're kind of war hawks.
Right.
There's a lot of them that are really gunning for Putin.
The biggest argument I hear from the left about being more isolationist and hands-off is, we're abandoning our allies. Well, they're more than capable of protecting themselves. We step back and they're going to step up like they should be. And we've been the largest contributor to NATO.
Right.
And we're not even in Europe. You know?
Right.
Why is that the case? They're more than capable, and look what's happening. They're already starting to step up and look out for their own security.
Right.
So I think it's a good thing.
Which is the way it should be, but I think that there is kind of a little bit of an argument of the sense of it is kind of scary being Americans and being like, okay, we're going to trust that you guys make the right calls here because we've been the ones making the calls for years.
Well, we still
we'll
have our relationships with them.
Well, of course.
They're allies still. We still are going to be at the table in discussions and stuff.
It is just kind of scary to think that, I wonder if there was ever a shift to true isolationism, not totally, there never would be, it wouldn't work, but it would just be kind of weird to think, okay, well, how is NATO going to run on its own? If we did leave NATO.
They're going to turn on us?
If we left NATO, I wonder what it would look like. Seriously.
No, but I don't mean when I say that total isolationism.
No. I know you don't. But I'm more so just kind of running with. You got one track mind. But it does make me think because it has been thrown around that the United States should leave NATO, and it does make me wonder what would NATO look like without the United States? I wonder if things would be kind of different because they all have a vested interest, an extreme vested interest because they're neighbors.
Yeah,
we're not even.
I thought it would calm them down a little bit, but it looks like it wouldn't do that actually.
Well, that's kind of what I'm wondering now. Is this is the United States kind of like the the Houndmasters? I don't know.
And we can be that without being in NATO and giving the most contributions. We could still, pressure them not to escalate conflicts around the world.
Sure, that's true. It's just an interesting thought.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the Ukrainian conflict is, as ever, ongoing, and we'll obviously keep you guys up to date with what develops with that. I guess we could throw in there too that Zelensky did have a very long response to Trump a couple days later. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'll link it in the description if I remember. But the tweet basically was him saying that the way that things went in the White House was not how he wanted it to go. He apologizes for the way it went, because obviously he was thrown out of the White House because Trump said he has no interest in talking about peace. They canceled the meetings for the rest of the day. You could see the Ukrainian, foreign minister? I forget who it was.
No, the Ukrainian ambassador.
Ambassador, sitting there with her hands in her face, or
I was just shaking her head.
Her head in her hands. The thing was just a disaster on any way you look at it, and a couple days later, you have Zelensky basically saying it didn't go the way they want. Nobody wants peace more than Ukraine. We are going to sign the minerals deal. I'm sorry for the way that it went. We are going to follow Trump's lead into the peace talks.
Yep.
And so, I mean, it worked clearly somehow, some way. I'm not going to say it's just maybe he just capitulated for the meantime, but either way, it did get the response. Trump got the response out of Zelensky that he wanted. So we'll see if that is actually the way forward, that Zelensky stays consistent with that. One more thing I kind of want to go over just really quick is they just had the State of the Union. That is not the State of the Union. I forget what it's called. I'm not even going to look it up because
I just call it State of the Union.
Yeah, it's the the first State of the Union. And it was just an absolute horror fest to watch, in the sense of you have left and right, and the entire time the fucking Republicans are standing up cheering, rah rah rah, which is great. I mean, Trump did have a lot of people show up that one would do that for, which was very much a political move he was doing. He's trying to rally the troops around his cause. And then the entire time, you just see the Democrats sitting there holding up these little signs.
And sitting even for the things that weren't political.
Well, that's what I'm saying. He made a 13-year-old child with brain cancer, a brain cancer survivor, an honorary member of the Secret Service, and they didn't stand for that.
Yeah, for the fallen soldiers, nothing.
Yeah.
And the left's argument is that Trump is the divisive one and all that, then
yeah.
Well, what are you doing sitting through that? Even
the one thing that was a roaring ovation from the Democrats was sending more money to Ukraine to keep the war going, and that's a fact.
Shocking.
Watch it. Yep.
Not just sending more money. He said they would have let this go on for 5 more years, and Elizabeth Warren started clapping her hands and yelling, Yep.
And he said, Pocahontas would. Pocahontas says yes.
Pocahontas says yes.
But yeah, if you guys haven't watched that, go watch it. You'll really see. And obviously, I have major issues with Republicans and with Trump too. I think that anyone that says that they are a member of either party is kind of fooling themselves.
It's hard to believe the right wouldn't have done the same thing.
Right.
But the public, the people, should call them both out.
Right.
And right now is the left for sure.
Right. But yeah, it is just a wild watch. So I urge you guys to go check that out. At least watch the highlights on it. But yeah, I think that does us for this week. Did you have anything else you want to hit on?
No, just we'll update on that Epstein story. 6 days left to get the documents out. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, it'll be a real fun one. Again, we just filmed a really cool interview with Skylar, so that was fun. A new episode of the Sons of Liberty. That'll be coming out next week. So what is that?
Next Saturday.
Next Saturday, right? So that is going to be
Sunday. Next Sunday.
or next Sunday, right? So that'll be coming out on the 16th. This episode is the 9th. So stay tuned to that. For that was a really good episode. And as always, we appreciate the support. If you guys could like, share, comment, subscribe, all that stuff really helps. We are trying to grow because we want to reach as many people as we can. Comments.
12 more subscribers and we'll go live.
12 more subscribers and we're going live, baby. Help us reach that goal, please. We're gonna have a lot of fun with that. Good stuff happening. Comments, pros, cons, discourse, agreements, whatever. Any and all help. We love feedback. We love having the conversations.
And if anybody watching, if you're interested in coming on, leave a comment about it, and we'll try to communicate.
Leave a comment. We have the email on the and the about tab of the channel. So if you guys really want to come on, go ahead and email the business email, and we'll get back to you.
Even if you disagree.
Yeah, we want all voices. Like I said, like the interview that we just had, we had very much disagreements, and it still ended up being great. So we want to reach as many people as we can. And you have anything else we want to add?
Good.
Nope. All right, cool. Well, thank you guys for watching again. Like, comment, subscribe, share, everything, please. And we'll catch you guys in the next one.